Welcome to our new season, Trade Secrets.
We're handing the microphone to the people who actually build, wire, plumb and finish our homes.
And we're asking them, what are the top 5 things that every home renovator should know?
The mistakes to avoid, the money worth spending, and tips to make every renovation run a little more smoothly.
Welcome back to the podcast. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jen.
Next up in our Trade Secrets series, we're talking to you via text, a plumber. You're one of your plumbers.
Yeah. He didn't want to do a voice note, but I'm going to read out his answer.
Fair enough. We'll read out the answers. You know, this is a popular podcast. Not everybody wants to be nationally famous.
Yeah, it's funny. Even my electrician was like, "Oh, I hate listen. How do you listen to yourself back all the time?" And I was like, "I think you just get used to it." You know, everyone has that when you hear yourself back for a while. You're like, "Do I sound like that? Do I really sound like that?" Anyway,
my builder said that last week, Jason, and then I got so many messages being like, "Oh, that was brilliant," and he sounded great.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like that too. I hate listening to my own voice, but I do love talking. So, there's the juxtaposition. Okay, so we've answers from the plumber, which is fantastic. So will we dive right in?
We're going to dive right in. Can I just say, from my own experience, plumbing is the one that's caused me the most heartache. And I think these tips are really important.
Yeah.
And I think we've said this in the podcast before, plumbing is where people tend to find issues, because electricians have to certify a house and it's very regulated, and plumbing isn't so much. So sometimes water can get anywhere, that's the thing. And it's
Ireland,
really hard
there's
to keep
no opportunity for it to dry out in Ireland. Like if there's a small leak, it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and then you're screwed.
Yeah. So I think these answers are really good and talk to that kind of, I guess, precursor to you having any of those issues down the line, and getting a lot of that stuff done up front or pre-first fix, ideally. So let's go with question 1, which was same as last week. What's the one thing renovators need to plan earlier than they think? So they said, plan your bathrooms, kitchen and utility room as early as you possibly can. Every decision about plumbing happens before the walls are closed up, or should. So changing your mind later can be expensive. Know where things like your shower, your bath, your vanity, your appliances and all that are going before first fix, and then you'll save yourself a lot of hassle down the line.
Yeah. It's same as we've been saying beforehand, which I think, it's forget about the finishes until the very end and really think about the positioning of everything. This one caught me a little bit because so coming up to first fix, roughly where things are going to go. And that's totally fine because you have time to fix it before second fix. So you know roughly where your toilet's going to go, your shower, your kitchen layouts, your utility, blah, blah, blah. But then coming up to second fix, there's kind of small tweaks which are really important. Like one for me was that I really wanted a basin sink. And that meant having a wall-mounted tap, which is
you mean a countertop?
The norm,
countertop kind of sink.
In my bathroom, in both bathrooms actually, which meant a wall-mounted tap. Which, because one of them is against an external wall, meant a little dummy had to be built to put the pipe behind it. So, we keep saying that, have the design and layout of everything finished or decided before you have the finishes. But actually, there is a point that comes when the design of things starts becoming important too, because it influences
earlier than you think, actually. I generally think a good rule of thumb for plumbing is you don't want to have to split and do a bit of a splinter of a pipe somewhere else, because all those joins are risks for things to leak, right? And things like taps, you don't have to know the tap that's going in right off the bat. You do need to know if it's going to be a wall tap.
Yeah.
Because a wall tap is, like you said, more complicated to chase the pipework into a wall, depending on the type of wall or whatever. Also, you have to kind of know what vanity, because where's the pipe coming out for the waste, and for, is it coming out of the wall if it's a floating vanity? Otherwise, it might be coming up through the floor and then you have to tile around it, which is a mess. So those kind of questions are actually things you need to know way sooner than you think. Same with shower valves, like the positioning of shower valves, shower valves, some people love to have them on entrance to the shower, so you don't have to be under the shower head and you're not getting frozen or whatever.
I think that's a brilliant tip. Sorry to stop there, listener, if you haven't heard previous episodes and you're designing a bathroom, I didn't do this and I definitely will in my next house, and that is put the control of the shower on entrance and not underneath
Yeah.
the shower head where I have to get wet every time I turn the shower on.
Turn it on. Yeah. And you
Yeah,
get
or
that
like
little
reach in awkwardly and try to
burst
do
of
it.
cold water or whatever on top of your arm or on top of your
Yeah.
head while you're trying to do it. So
Anyway, I
things like
digress.
that, I think I think they come at you way sooner than you think. Another one is valves for radiators, whether
Yeah.
they're coming out of the wall or whether they're coming out of the floor.
Yeah.
And the spacings for those,
Yeah.
for those radiator valves, because those things are all hard to change. So the positioning of things and the type of things at this
Yeah.
stage, not the specific taps or fittings, but the types of fittings, whether
Yeah.
it's wall, whether it's deck, whether it's, I don't know, like a high wall hung vanity or a
ceiling.
floor mounted
If you
vanity.
want
Yeah, but the shower head, ours
want
came out of
those
the ceiling
rain
last
showers,
time. Yeah, we had one in our guest bathroom last time, so we had to know that it was coming out of the ceiling, because the last thing you want is it's coming out of the wall and you're like, oh, I actually want it there, and then now they have to create new pipework or
Yeah.
new connections, and I think new connections are, they can be disastrous if that's
They're always
that's
a
the
risk.
potential for
They
leak.
always pose a
It's the
risk.
potential
Yeah.
for leak. Yeah.
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 And we mentioned it previously on a plumbing episode, but what they said there about the pipe, just knowing where things go, a crucial one is the pipes, because the pipes have to be boxed off in the room downstairs. So if it's an upstairs toilet positioning, that requires it's like a 10 millimeter pipe, and that requires a big box around it. So just know that.
Oh my God, yeah. The toilet one is like probably the one that you need to get right
Yeah.
earliest, like as in the positioning for it. Where is that huge WAV waste pipe going out the wall? Is it being boxed in? We couldn't put ours through the wall because it was a solid brick wall, and you know, you might be able to chase for 100 mil, sink pipe, but like, can you do a whole, what is it? What are they, 6-inch WAV pipes or whatever, 150 mil? Like, where's that going in a big old brick wall? It's almost impossible. So yeah, those kind of positioning things are needed earlier than you think, I think.
Yeah.
So question 2, it's where do people waste money? And I'm going to say that I kind of, in a way, disagree with this a little bit, but we'll see.
Go on.
I'd say people spend too much money on expensive taps and designer fittings, but then try and save money on the plumbing inside the walls. Most people won't notice what brand of tap you bought. Disagree. But they will notice poor water pressure or a leak. So spend your money where it really matters.
Yeah, I do agree with that to a certain extent. I do think people notice the taps that you bought.
I do as well. Yeah.
And you will notice it. So it's up to you. If that's something that's important to you, but I agree with, like, it's not don't bother getting the nice taps. It's don't trade off the nice taps for the good quality pipework and, plumbing and drainage or anything. Like, if you're going through your entire schedule and your quote and you're saying, I want the whatever Lefroy Brooks taps, but I can't afford it, therefore can we, reduce the quality of the drainage pipes and the whatever fittings, then don't do that. But if you can do both, then do both for sure.
I agree with that. And like, what's your term, the lowest alternative?
Lowest acceptable alternative.
So I think that should really apply here. Like, you might want Lefroy Brooks. Like, I wanted Lefroy Brooks this time, but it was also the difference in 1,000 or 2,000 for my shower valve. Like, it was that extreme, the difference in price. So I went for, what I thought was an acceptable alternative in a finish I liked in Burlington, which is kind of a mid-range brand rather than the really high-end brand. Now, in saying that, I know the Burlington valve in the wall is still a good quality valve.
So I think that's the key point, isn't it, here?
Yeah.
That they're getting across, which is, you don't know, as a probably first-time renovator or someone who's doing up their bathroom for the first time in years, you don't know what's a good quality valve and how to know what works well. So the point, I guess, is then go shopping, maybe select your few, 1 or 2, maybe 3 even options of what type of taps or fittings that you want. And then talk that through with the professionals and say, this is what I'm looking at. Here's the specs. Does this look good? Is this going to last? Is this going to save money? Because some of them might, you might be paying for the finish and it might look fine, but the fittings might be crap. And like, sure, how are you supposed to know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's worth leaning on your plumber here and asking them, what brands have you worked with that have caused you issues that I should avoid? And what ones are reasonably priced, but good quality? So you've decent valves, and then pick from that, smaller range of products rather than going in and having everything on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
But yeah, I do think people notice your taps, but don't forego the quality of what's in the wall to get a nice tap.
Yeah. On anything. That's true for everything.
Yeah. And then on the opposite of that, where should people spend more? I kind of know where this is going now. Invest in good quality pipework, valves and fittings. They're not the exciting parts of renovation because you don't see them, but they're what keep everything working properly for years to come. So it's much cheaper to get it right the first time than open the walls later to fix a problem. Like we spoke about there. Like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have good valves inside the walls. You have to have good pipe work. You have to have good connections. So, do you know when we talk about like taking pictures and stuff before the walls are closed up? This is always, a good time to do this. And even like the connections to your shower valves. This is a kind of a sanity check on your plumber as well. If you don't know them or you haven't worked with them before, just like looking around those connection points, look at their joins on pipe work inside the walls, and do they look tidy and do they look clean and are they well sealed, or is it likely to leak? Same for like things like your shower tray and where that's connected. So hard to change afterwards and fix that afterwards. And throwing a load of silicone at the problem is not the solution. It should have been done from the outset. So like those connection points to all the valves are as important as the quality of the stuff inside there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so right about the photographs as well, because if you call somebody out to fix, if you're like, oh, I smell damp in my upstairs, whatever, this area, like, and you call someone out to fix it, like those people don't have x-ray machines. They can't just figure out where the leak is coming from. And they do have methods and they do have kind of cameras they can put down pipes and stuff like that. But if you have photographs of all that stuff before the walls are closed up, which is again your reminder to go and visit the site, I would say at least once a week, and just try and take as many photos as possible and be there with your plumber and be like, just, ask the questions, like be annoying. Like as Jason said on the last episode that we did, like ask, don't expect them to be in your head, like ask and don't, and prod and like that, be helpful by being involved, I suppose. Not like combative and not, condescending or questioning things unnecessarily, but just educate yourself, inform yourself and ask, and then take all the photos in the world so that if something goes wrong, it'll be so much easier to trace the problem and figure out how to fix it.
I think there's something that I only realised, I think, after working with multiple clients at once. Like your house is your house. You know every nook and cranny. You know exactly how every room is going to be laid out, and you're already envisaging yourself in that beautiful shower or whatever it is. That plumber could be on a couple of jobs in the same month, like they're not going to remember all your positions. They're not going to remember what you said in a walkthrough unless it's written somewhere, unless it's on a drawing somewhere, unless it's confirmed, or like an easy thing as well is like mark the walls. They're going to be tiled or painted or something anyway, like big chalk marks or whatever. Like I've seen a lot of builders pick up a broken piece of plasterboard off the floor and literally a big X, on the wall and draw on the wall that way. But bring like chalk or a marker or whatever, a Sharpie with you, and just those physical marks are just a sanity check for those connection points. But yeah, I do agree that, paying for good work inside the walls is going to save you in the long run.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think as well, ask, like if you're saying, like back to talking to your tradespeople, like if you're going in and you're saying, actually, I want the toilet moved here, or actually I want to put the shower there, or actually I want to have a sink in this bedroom, or whatever it might be, I think don't just come in, say it and leave. Come in, have a conversation about it and say, what would that mean? Does that mean that the pipe has to be routed in a different way? Does that mean additional connection points? Like, are there risks or trade-offs involved with that? And what would you recommend? I think that's a conversation really worth having as well,
Yeah, and paying for, it mightn't necessarily be the quality of the fittings, but things like lagging pipe work,
Yeah.
Because your floors will be up at this stage, and if you're paying for a full replumb, I would say every run pretty much that's going to be bringing hot water to somewhere should be lagged, because you're going to lose it otherwise. Why not?
No reason not to. It's not that expensive, just get it done. Like maybe a bit extra time, bit extra cost, but get it done. And then similarly, I think bathrooms, like if you have it in your budget at all, tank the bathroom, especially your upstairs bathrooms. Like just get it done and prevent any issues at the outset and come back later. But that is pricier. Yeah.
Take the pictures anyway. That's all we can say.
Take the pictures.
You won't regret having too many pictures. And just a little anecdote here, like my gripe with plumbers, I suppose, my last few jobs, because I've had a few issues.
You've been burned.
I have been burned a few times, and in this house, I went to hang a media kind of unit, like a wall hung kind
Oh
of
my God,
media
the
unit.
story gives me nightmares.
The weekend before the photo shoot here for that magazine, and we drilled into something, we didn't know what it was, and it was high pressure water coming straight out of the wall. Thankfully, we were both in the house, so one could literally plug the hole with their thumb and the other person run off. But had my thumb on the wall and I could feel the pressure from the water coming out. I was like, this is a pressurized system or it's mains fed. We didn't know what it was. We could not figure out. So we did our shut off and everything. We ended up closing off all the rads. We thought it might have been kind of coming from the heating system and stuff. We could not get it to stop. And we ended up having to go out onto the road and do the shut off there on the footpaths.
This is a good tip, listener, to know where your water shut off is in your house, like before your plumber leaves, and that outside your front door, you probably will have a little round, tiny, like little manhole round cover the size of your kind of two, thumb and forefinger put together. That you lift up with maybe a flat screwdriver or something like that, and there's a water shut off in there on the majority of houses.
Yeah, even when we did the under sink one or whatever, it didn't do anything. So this one was directly mains fed from outside for an outdoor pipe. And that pipe was literally
that shouldn't
behind.
Be the case.
It shouldn't be the case, but it's literally behind plasterboard in my front living room. So like a mains fed pipe should not be that easily accessible. And thankfully we were both in the house and we tried to minimize the damage. And I could hear the water pressure was so high, it was literally filling inside the wall. And I had to run and I had to shout at Cian saying, turn off the power, because there was sockets, everything around it as well. And I had my thumb on the wall. I was like, turn off all the power. Because I could hear it almost filling in the void in the wall. So anyway,
it's so dangerous.
That's a watch
and
out. This is why we say take pictures. Yeah. But this is the problem. There's no formal regulation on a lot of this stuff. Anyway, there's suggestions, stuff like that. So that was my biggest issue I encountered. And this is why we say the quality of the work inside the walls should be looked at and photographed and stuff like that. So I think the more pictures and the more, I took a million pictures and measurements and took pictures with the measuring tape up against it before we replastered over that, because obviously we know it's there now, but I'd have to flag it with anyone who ever bought the house or something down the line, that they don't wreck their house as well, because the other option is we rip the whole wall out. And reroute that pipe somewhere else. But yeah, anyway.
And maybe it's put down a measuring tape or something. And then in both, if you're taking photos, in both Apple Photos and Google Photos, iPhoto, whatever, you can add a note to the photo, because it might be, it might be close up of something and they're like, oh God, I don't even know what room that was in. Yeah. So just something that has a rough marker of where it is in the wall, and then a note to say this is whatever, upstairs bedroom, downstairs hallway.
And if during your renovation you come across pipework like this, or even old pipework that was put in and now you're tapping into it and you're not removing it all, you can do pipe shields, where it's a sheet of metal that goes over the pipe as an additional protection layer before you plaster. Because a lot of the new pipework is obviously all plastic, whereas the old stuff might have been copper or whatever, and you might have dinged it, but you mightn't have burst it, So I think just knowing stuff like that, take as many pictures as you can. You will not regret it. And especially underfloor heating systems, take as many pictures as you can of the mapping. You can do heat maps and stuff down the line, but it becomes much grayer and much more difficult to diagnose if you don't have that map.
And make sure that that's not going under where your kitchen cabinets are meant to be. Wasn't that your tip?
Yeah, and appliances and everything, like fridge. You don't want to be heating the bottom of your fridge while your fridge is trying to cool, things like that. So it shouldn't go under any cabinetry pretty much.
Or your pantry, Okay, next.
Okay, question 4.
So much in plumbing.
What's the one thing homeowners can do to make a job run more smoothly? I totally agree with this. Be there for the plumbing walkthrough and don't be afraid to ask questions. Drawings can change during a renovation, but you know better than anyone how you're going to use the house every day. So the earlier you communicate changes, the easier and cheaper they are to make. So very similar to what the electrician said. Be there for your walkthrough. This is not just for the main contractor to do.
Yeah.
Or the architect or whoever. You have to live in this house day to day.
And communicate. Tell them what, ask questions. I was thinking about this here. They don't have, you might assume, you have assumptions in your head about where things should go and what good looks like. And they don't know what those assumptions are. So just say it out loud and be annoying, I would say.
Yeah. And know things like, spacing and heights. Like you said, you needed a wall tap, which might be 110 centimeters off the wall. Or the shower valve, if you're really tall people, you might want to go a little higher than standard. You know, the shower rose coming out from the wall. You don't want it hitting your head if you're a 6'6" person or whatever.
Yeah.
So like those kind of heights and things like that, just have it in your head roughly how high you want them, how high you want taps. And also the layout of things, because your plumber isn't looking at the doors, right? That's not his job. But you might be deciding down the line that you're changing the swing of a door to swing one way versus the other. Make sure it's not going to clash with a radiator or valves or a toilet or a vanity. Now you can't open a vanity. I saw one video where a bathroom vanity had drawer units and the drawer units kind of rolled out by themselves, but then locked the door closed so no one could get into the bathroom. So like just think about like how things cross over each other. And I think on a walkthrough, that's when you pick up things like this. You're saying, oh, I'm changing the door this way, but now it won't open because the vanity is there, or the toilet, or stupidly, I changed the orientation of my toilet in one bathroom on the 90 degrees because I wanted it that way. And then I was like, oh, my vanity is too big. I don't have the knee space here. And in my head, I was like, 80 is the width you need for a toilet. But I forgot I turned it 90 degrees and I was like, I don't have long enough for my knees now. So like just doing those kind of walkthroughs and sit on the toilet, get someone else to open the door. I think those
Draw
things
it all out.
Yeah, and walk through it, because I think that walkthrough is so important with every main trade before first fix.
Yeah, don't scrimp on that.
Definitely not.
Okay, last question.
Last question. So what's I was going to say just the last one on that, the communication thing, like as early as possible. Don't feel like you're nagging or you're pointing out like shortcomings in their work or design or whatever. Just like they will appreciate, earlier nods on things.
Yeah, because like, as long as you're polite, like the worst possible outcome here is that they're like, oh God, that person asked a lot of questions. Who cares? They're going to forget your name in 3 weeks. Doesn't matter.
But they don't. They don't care about that when it's before first fix. At first fix, they're like, everything's open here. Let's just get it right. They don't want to be moving it.
Remind them.
They don't want to be moving it after the fact.
Agreed. Okay, so we are on to our last question.
Last question. What's the biggest mistake you see homeowners make? Designing a bathroom, how it looks rather than works. Think about
what do we always say?
Think about where you'll hang your towel. Oh, and this is kind of part of what I was saying as well. Where the shower controls are, how the doors open, where you'll store your toiletries, and just making sure everything is comfortable to use. A bathroom should work brilliantly every day and not just look good in photos.
I cannot express how many bathrooms I have seen where there is nowhere to put the bloody shampoo. Yeah. Like, and then you're like, oh my God, it looks amazing. Thanks a million. You spent money on your like heated mirror and your new tiles, and your shower looks amazing, and you've got the brass door and whatever. And then you plonk down a bottle of Head and Shoulders or anything.
Litre bottle of Tresemme shampoo and conditioner just plonked in the middle of your shower.
Going? Where's your razor going to be? Where is where are you hanging your face cloth? Towels, critical. Okay, you can put up the command hooks and like hang them up there. But like, where are they going to go? I think that is, like, we do talk about layout all the time and how you're going to use the room. And this is what we mean. Like, where is that stuff going? When you go into where is your toilet roll holder going to go? Where do you do your makeup there? Like, where is that going to live? Do you want it behind closed, doors above or in a drawer underneath? Or like, where is there enough surface? I think this is a big one for a vanity. Is there enough surface area for people, guests, you, whoever, to like put something down there and be able to use that space, God,
I don't think the plumber's going to hang your toilet roll holder or hang your hook or anything like that. But where they're positioning things could have an influence on those other things. So that's why it's kind of relevant here, I suppose. And the vanity, like the type of vanity, whether we're saying earlier, whether it's wall mounted or floor mounted, might influence the amount of storage you have in it. The pipework inside the vanity, might be crashing as well if you don't put in a specific tidy, behind the back of the vanity. Waste trap. So like all those things they're all relevant to the plumber, although like the finishes part aren't necessarily plumbing. And shower niches, oh my God, I just cannot.
There's no reason not to. Please put them in
a shower niche.
There's no reason not to.
And ideally put a shower niche in the most out of view place you can, that you have flexibility to. Yeah. If you have a half shower wall, put it in that half shower wall so no one sees your ugly toiletries. Yeah. If you have all beautiful Aesop shower gels and shampoos and you want them on show, fine, put the shower niche front and centre. But just like, plan.
There's no reason not to. Please put it in.
I've also seen shower niches that are like 30 centimetres wide and then 80 centimeters high. And I'm like, okay, but what are you putting in there? Like, you know,
Yeah.
you'll fit 2 bottles and then it's way too tall. So just,
Yeah.
I remember one builder was like laughing at me at one stage. I was like, no, seriously, like, what are you putting in a shelf that's that size? Do you know you'll fit 2 bottles? And if you have 2 or 3 people using that shower, you're probably going to have a shampoo and a conditioner and a face wash and a body wash. You know, you're going to need it wider and not so high. So like, you know, just step that through. It seems.
Although I do, the height, I have a little hook in each of mine, and I like to hang a little loofah and a face cloth.
Oh,
in
yeah.
mine.
Okay.
So for height, that's what I do like.
Okay.
But,
you want the height for that.
But I'm with you.
Like
Overall, I think better off having it full length. You may as well have it full length, I think. You design it however you want.
If you want to store a step ladder in there, that's your own business, right? I'm just saying, like, just step through what works for your storage in your shower space. You know, like, don't assume that the builder will get that right, because you might be someone who just has shitloads of toiletries in the shower, or you might be someone that lives on 1 bottle of Head and Shoulders and that's it, and that's cool too. So like, just make sure you design it for you. And I always, if I can, put the niche out of sight.
Yeah. It's so messy. You have everything messy. Or where's your toothbrush beside your sink? Like, where's your toothbrush going? Those little designs.
It's amazing what you can fit in these vanities. Like, it's amazing. Even like, do you remember the mirrored IKEA vanity I bought on adverts ages back? Like, the storage in those, it was life-changing. Because I felt like before that I had never a proper storage vanity in my bathroom. And I just felt like, oh my God, all my stuff is in here. And then it just consequently just makes your bathroom so tidy all the time. Because it's just somewhere that's easy to reach and everything's there.
Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah, I think plan that out for sure, and like, don't be just planning for a particular style. And like we said in the last question, same applies here. Do your walkthrough, make sure things aren't clashing or up against each other, or the doorknobs banging off something else, or, you know. But storage in a bathroom is key, and hooks for drying your towels are key, and hooks potentially beside radiators, you know, so they'll dry in the winter months in Ireland. And something actually, it kind of slots in here, but does it slot in somewhere else, is when we were talking about paying for things that are hidden. Devi mats in bathrooms, I say.
Oh yeah, you love these. The little heating mats.
But just like, think about in Ireland in the winter time when you get splash from your shower, especially if you have an open shower, right? Very hard to get that to dry in Ireland without a mop in the bathroom, or a little squeegee or whatever. Whereas if you have a little Devi mat, you might only use it for a few months of the year when the weather's kind of cold, but it kind of evaporates off that water.
And behind your mirror as well. And
relatively
extraction. God, there's so much in plumbing. This is like a double bumper episode.
I know.
Like, good extraction. Just make sure that's plotted in as well. And like, don't cheap out on the extractor fan. Get the good extractor fan. Get them to time in the electrician, to time in a shut off, so that when you switch it off, it stays on for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever afterwards. 10 minutes ideally. But we need a bumper episode.
Yeah, walk through. There's a lot of technical stuff in bathrooms, and like, I don't think people appreciate when you price maybe doing a bathroom for someone in terms of design and stuff, the amount of time that goes into it. It's as technical as doing a kitchen, I think, you know. There's as much layout choices, and there's as many things to go wrong in a bathroom as any other room in the house, I think.
All right.
But yeah, that's our
so much
plumbing nuggets. So much.
Let us know what you think. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed that episode, likes, shares and subscribes really help us out. So if you can, please do. Thank you.